Basically, Israel was at war, and they wanted to drag the U.S. into the war with them. So they attacked one of our Navy ships, and they did. I mean, it wasn't just like a regular attack. They were like napalming the decks, blowing up the life rafts. They torpedoed the ship. I mean, they just went at the ship for like an hour and a half. And we had called in SOS calls. We were supposedly their ally, and their goal was to sink this ship. They had 4 torpedo boats. Like they had multiple gunships, helicopters, jets, and they wanted to sink the ship, and they wanted to blame it on the people they were fighting, false flag attacks, and then we would go and fight the people that they're at war with. And they did the same thing with the Levant affair, and I think they did the same exact thing with 9/11. So they've got a history of these false flag attacks. But at the time, I didn't really know all this. Like, I just started kind of getting into it, and when I read about the USS Liberty, that one kind of hit home because they put a gag order on these people. Basically, they killed all these U.S. Navy guys, and like I said, their goal is to blame it on the people they were fighting. And I'm just like, how the f are we allies of the country that's attacked us multiple times, stolen our secrets? As you start to learn more and more, it's all bad. Like, there's no good. They've done nothing for us ever, and we just constantly send them money. And so then I started doing a forensic accounting of the money that we sent them. We sent them, depending on if you want to go with the Newsweek or the Brown University study, we've given them in aid, like between what we've given them, the war on terror, and all the things we've done for them, between 20 and 30 trillion dollars. So it's almost like our entire.
Most people in the creator space or just in media in general are somewhat like, it feels taboo to talk about these things, and that alone. And I think because people are afraid of whether it be the repercussions of brand deals or
100%.
And it to me is that idea in and of itself that people are afraid, and I think in some cases rightfully so. It makes me question why would it be such a taboo thing to talk about if it wasn't a problem?
Exactly. That's the whole thing. You can talk about Muslims, you can say whatever you want. You can Bill Maher is calling them terrorists, saying their entire religion. You can say whatever you want. It's totally okay. And that's a quarter of the globe, right? So to me, I look at this and I'm just like, wait, what the f is going on? Why can you say whatever you want about these people, these people, these people? The moment you say something about, they're just such a protected class. And then I started looking at it why are they so protected? And it's they killed half my people, and Israel, denies that genocide. But yet, if you even question their genocide, quote unquote, in Germany, you'll go to jail. There was a woman that just died in jail recently because she was around during World War II. She saw what happened. She said, they didn't mass murder these Jews. I saw it. This didn't happen. They locked her in jail, and they said, you can get out of jail if you just acknowledge that this happened. And she refused to do it. She literally died in jail. This is a 90-year-old woman or whatever. And, you look at the people that acknowledged this, and they were they got confessions from these people via torture. They were crushing their nuts. They were doing all these torture things. And those are the people that confessed to this crime. So, and this started becoming more apparent with what's going on in Israel. They said people were, made into lampshades and soap, and they acknowledged that was all lies. And then you look at what Israel said for October 7th, beheaded babies in ovens. They come up with all this stuff that sounds really horrific, and it was all bullshit. Mass rapes, all the stuff was all bullshit. And then so you start seeing it's these people have such a pattern of lying, and then you look at the media's lied to us during COVID. How many times we get lied to?
It's hard.
So this interview is hot off the press with Dan Bilzerian and Bradley Martyn. This just came out a few hours ago. I watched the whole interview and chose the most important moments so that you don't have to waste your time watching the whole entire interview. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel. Now let's continue.
It's hard for me to fully agree with that point that it's religion-based, because even in these other religions, people do shady
100%, but the religion doesn't teach them they're better than other people. Christianity wants other people to be Christian. Muslims want other people to be Christian or Muslim. They say, hey, we believe this is the religion of God. We want everybody to follow it. We think this is the right path. They have their principles. They've got their teachings. And obviously there's going to be flaws in religions, but Judaism doesn't try and convert anybody. They just think they're better. They just think that we are the chosen ones. Basically everybody is here to serve us. And so,
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. As a Muslim, I can say that we believe that we know the truth, and we want to spread that truth everywhere, and we want others to join Islam. I've seen Christian missionaries who do something very similar. I haven't really seen any Jewish missionaries.
So when you have that mentality, like, look at how they're treating the Palestinians. They're treating them like cattle. And
Probably worse than cattle, to be honest. Probably worse than how they treat cattle.
so, like, you're going to obviously treat cattle differently than you're going to treat a human. So when your belief system is such that you are better than everybody else and other people are subhuman, then, you know, you're going to have exactly what's going on in Israel.
I see. It's almost like a societal thing as a whole, not just.
But where's that coming from, though? The media is pushing these things, you know, like, and who's controlling the media? That's my big problem, is when I keep looking at the root of these problems, like transgenderism, right? I don't care if people are gay. You know, every one of my assistants were gay. I would invite gay guys to parties all the time. I didn't give a I've been around gay guys. I'm not homophobic, none of that shit. I don't give a
Yeah.
But my issue is when you start mutilating children, when you start telling 9-year-olds it's okay to chop off their dick, hide it from their parents, chemically castrate people, irreparably change their lives, and you start pushing this on children that are impressionable. Look, when I was 15, 16, I was a sandwich. I would do everything that I thought was cool. I wanted approval. I didn't know who the I was. Think about all the dumb shit you did when you were 15, right? So so
much.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to get a tattoo. A tattoo can be removed. You chop your dick off, you don't get it back. Like, you can't smoke cigarettes, you can't join the military, you can't make many life-altering decisions, but you can change your entire sex, and it's encouraged. So you've got this, like, structure because of the media and because of this, you know, Jewish propaganda that, like, you know, it's cool to be gay, it's cool to be trans, it's cool to be this. And look, kids want acceptance. So when you tell them that, hey, if you are trans, you're going to be in a victim category and people are going to be nicer to you, and that's a cool thing to do, and these other people are doing it, and you're going to get more attention, and you're going to be part of a special group, then you're encouraging people to do something that they might not otherwise have done.
You know, he's not entirely wrong again, and I'm kind of surprised that he's so well connected with the younger generations. I mean, even I'm not a part of that generation, and I've heard from younger folks that in school, folks that are part of the LGBTQ community, they're definitely some of the cooler kids and the more popular kids. They're the victims, and yeah, they're definitely a lot of times the popular kids, which is so different from when I was in school.
And look, I don't give a if a kid's born gay, treat them, you know, the same as everybody else. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
My problem is when they're making decisions at an age when their mind isn't formed that they're going to regret for the rest of their life, and it's being pushed on them. And why the drag queens reading to children in schools? Like, why the are kids at 9 years old reading about homosexual acts? Like, what the, you know, like, the first transgender clinic was opened by Magnus Hirschfeld. You know, that was a Jewish gay doctor in Germany, 1919. First transgender surgery.
1919?
Yeah, that was the first transgender clinic, first transgender surgery. So this came from Jewish people. In their Talmud, there's 8 different genders. There's not 8 genders in the Christian, not 8 genders in the Quran, right? So this is a Jewish thing. And here's what happens is the Jewish media pushes the left their talking points. They don't one day just like all say the exact same thing. They're given these talking points. They're given these talking points by the media. And they're given these crazy talking points. And now everybody looks at it like, oh, the left is just crazy. It's the crazy Democrats. But where is this message coming from? And that's what people don't see, is they don't see that these messages are coming from the Jewish media, the Jewish community, and now it's a left versus the right, and the right looks at it like, oh, the problem is the left. The problem is these Democrats. And the left looks at it like, oh, the problem is white supremacy, because that's what CNN says. And the problem is Muslims. And so you get distracted from who's actually causing the real problems, and that is the Jewish religion and Jewish supremacy. That is where the problems are coming from in their own country. Like, porn is illegal in Israel, but yet all porn sites are all owned by Jewish people. OnlyFans, Pornhub, all that stuff.
I did not know that.
All Jewish owned. So it's like, you look at who owns it, you look at who's pushing it, and then you look at if they do it in their own country, and it's completely fucking opposite.
So you think if other people own those industries and own those businesses, that it would just be different?
Well, no, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that, like,
Good question.
they do things for themselves that are different from what they push on other people. Like, they push DEI, right? But not for themselves, right? They push open borders, but not for Israel. They push gender mix, you know, or race mixing, but not for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're a hypocrite, I have issue with it. Look, if they just said, you know, like, it. You know, all these things are what we believe and we do them. If they practice what they preach, that would be one thing, but they don't. And that's where I have issue. I have issue with the hypocrisy. I have issue with what they're pushing on us versus what they're doing themselves. And they're two very different things.
Yeah. So you had this conversation with
I just Talmud are literally like completely fucked up. Like it is okay to have sex with a 3-year-old because it's like poking a finger in the eye and the eye will water, but it's fine. It's just like the hymen will be restored and it doesn't count.
Did you literally? Because I've not looked at this kind of.
No, word for word translation. Like I've got full like breakdowns. I'm not like talking out of my. This is not some like internet meme. I've seen like the exact text and then the exact translation. I've done the translations on AI, on translators, and all this stuff. Like I've fact checked this 100%, and this is like absolutely. It's so up that you wouldn't believe it unless you actually saw it. They believe that Jesus is burning in hell and human, like Virgin Mary's a whore. Like there's like atrocious in there, and nobody knew about it. Like it literally says in the Talmud, like if a Gentile reads this, you should kill him. And that's because they don't want people to know what the it said. And until very recently, it wasn't really translated and nobody knew and nobody really talked about it. But now that it's been translated, it's like starting to be uncovered. And it's like, wow, there was a guy that did a thread and